Pialino momachtikawan, ahiakineki shimomachtika Nahuatl. Hi everyone, who wants y'all to learn Nahuatl? Nanigneki shimomachtika Nahuatl. I want y'all to learn Nahuatl. And well, I hope you like my introduction. What I just said there, what I just gave you an explanation for was kind of, or an example of was kind of what we're going to be learning today, which is we're going to be learning how to give ourselves commands. And we're also going to be learning how to say wishes or requests in Nahuatl. And so that's what this class is going to be about. This is a continuation of last week's class. Last week, we learned commands. I call it commands, Xicchihua, do it, commands part 1. This week, we're going to do Xicchihua, do it, ome, part 2. And I'm going to teach you how to say commands, but not just commands to other people, but commands to yourself. And so basically, that's what this class is going to be about. I hope you all had a good food during these holidays. If you celebrate them, if you don't celebrate them, I hope that you enjoyed yourself nevertheless, because I did, and I hope that you all did too. And so today's the day after Christmas, but still I'm here and I'm gonna effing do this. Let's effing learn Matimo Mashtikan Nahuatl. Let's learn Nahuatl. Okay, so let me share my screen with you all. And let's start the lesson. All right. Okay. So let me see. Okay. Let's go back to slide number 1. Okay. So as you can, as I have said, this is going to be class 2 of last week's class. And so we're going to be learning more about commands. Okay. So you're going to practice more with commands. Today, we don't have any students because I figured that most people weren't going to show up to the Friday class because yesterday was Christmas. So instead, I decided to make the same class on my own without any students. So you're not going to be hearing people's input. However, this class is going to go like most other classes, except nobody's going to be commenting. We're going to be learning, but you people on YouTube, you can definitely ask me questions because I am here for it. Next week, we're going to do a session where we're going to learn. I'm gonna just sit down and have like a homework / Q&A session where essentially I'm gonna go over homework and questions that you may have. But for now, just put your questions on the comments of this YouTube video if you have them. Okay, so today we're gonna practice more on commands. We're gonna learn how to say should, like I should do this, or may. And basically in Nahuatl, these are commands that you give to yourself, commands that you give to another person, or commands that you give to them, okay, or they. You're also gonna learn how to make requests or wishes in Nahuatl, and you're gonna see how the command, the imperative form of Nahuatl, uses she and ma to make requests. Okay, so if you were paying attention last week, we learned that the commands, how to give commands in Nahuatl. And so essentially in Nahuatl, you have these 6 forms. Essentially for when you're giving a direct command to somebody, like I'm giving you a command or I'm giving y'all a command, I'm gonna prefix that with she. So shiwitoni, jump, shinehnemi, walk, shimotlalo, run. If there's more than one of you, I'm going to be using shiwitonikan, shinehnemikan, and shimotlalokan. Okay, so the only thing that's different is that we're adding the the kan. Okay, so we have a verb and we have the command, the she plus the verb, shiwitoni, jump, shiwitoni, jump. That's for an intransitive verbs. A verb with no object. But if you have a verb with an object, a transitive verb, you need to put something there. So in the case of Xicchihua, which is the title of this lesson, Xicchihua means do it. So you're saying she, command, it, and chiwa, verb. So we're giving a direct command. So basically this is a review from last week. To refresh your memory, because essentially what you're gonna learn today is gonna be an extension of that. Okay, so we also learned last week how to say these commands when we give ourselves commands like let's eat, let's read, let's go, let's come, let's learn. Okay, like Matimo Mashtika Nahuatl, let's learn Nahuatl. Okay, so you learned how to say these last week, right? So let's eat. Ma titlacuacan, ma titlacuacan. So we're gonna, instead of giving commands to you or to you all, instead of using she, in these commands that we give to ourselves, we're gonna be using ma instead of she. So that's the command marker for us. So ma titlacuacan, let's, us, we, titlacua, to eat things, and can is necessary to make this plural because we are plural, we are more than one person. So matitlacuacan is how you would say, let's eat. Another example, let's read. Okay, same structure. Ma, ti, tlapoa, to read things, and can, matitlapoacan, matitlapoacan. Okay, let's read things. Okay. Okay, quali. So I want you to basically in Nahuatl, when you're saying Xitlacua, when you're saying Xitlapoa, when you're saying Xilla, when you're saying Xihuala, and when you're saying Ximomachti, you're giving those direct commands in Nahuatl by adding the Xi, right? Xitlacua, eat. Xitlapoa, read. Okay, that needs to be changed to Xitlapoa. Xitlapoa, read. Xilla, go. Xihuala, come. Ximomachti, learn. Okay, but another way that you can think of these commands with the she on them, you could also think of them as saying you should do this. So when I say xitlacua, it does mean eat, like as a command, do this, eat. But it could also be translated as you should eat. You should eat. Xitlacua. It's the same thing in Nahuatl. Okay. Xitlapoa, you should read. Xilla, you should go. Xihuala, you should come. And Ximomachti, you should learn. So in Nahuatl, giving that command, the she, is a direct command, but it also can be translated as you should do this. And you could kind of see like the how those two things are related. When I give you the command, I'm also telling you, you should do this, right? So in Nahuatl, those are the same thing. Wale. All right, so same thing with us. If I give us a command and I say, let's eat, I'm gonna say ma titlacuacan. Let's read, ma titlapohuacan. Let's go, ma tiyacan. Let's come, ma tihualacan. And let's learn, ma timomachtican. Okay? Same thing with these. Even though they are direct commands for us to do something like let's do this, you could also translate this as we should eat. Matitlacuacan, it's the same thing in Nahuatl. Matitlacuacan, it's let's eat, and it is we should eat. Matitlacuacan. Matitlapohuacan, we should read. Matiyacan, we should go. Matihualacan, we should come. And ma timomachtican, we should learn. Okay, Wale. So even though you can give yourself command, you can give commands to you can give commands to y'all with the use of she, notice that when we give ourselves a command, we use a different marker. We use the marker ma, okay? So essentially, that same ma where you used to give give us a command, you can also use that ma to give yourself a command. So in this example, I'm going to say I should eat. Okay, so in that case, I'm giving myself a command. So when I give myself a command, I'm also going to be using that marker ma. So instead we're going to say ma, command, ni tlacua, I should eat things. So in Nahuatl, you're saying I should eat things. So this is something that you would say when you wanna be like, oh, I should do this. Mani tlacua, I should eat. I'm hungry. Ni mayana, I should eat. Mani tlacua. So ni mayana, I'm hungry. Mani tlacua, I should eat. ¿Cuál? Okay, so, but if I give you a direct command, you should eat, then I'm gonna be using that she, right? So I'm gonna be saying xitlacua, xitlacua, okay? I'm giving you the direct command. But if I wanna say he or she should eat, I am basically, I'm gonna be using that ma, okay? Ma tlacua. He or she should eat. Ma tlacua. So that ma is giving the command and tlacua is saying eat things. Ma tlacua. He should eat. So maybe there's a guy who's really skinny and he might be your teacher and people may tell him, hey, he should eat. They might say, ma tlacua Diego. Diego should eat. Okay, I do eat, by the way, by the record. For the record, I do eat. But, you know, people when I was younger used to be like, oh, you should eat, or Diego should eat. They'd be like, ma tlacua Diego. Okay? That's one of those cases where you could use that. Okay. You could also use this as let's eat, right? Or we should eat. Ma titlacuacan. So this one you should kind of already know. Ma titlacuacan, right? I'm showing you this so that you could kind of start seeing the pattern of how Nahuatl constructs commands. Okay? All right. If I want to give y'all the command, y'all should eat, I would tell you directly, I would say xitlacuacan. Xitlacuacan, I would be using she. Okay. And if I say they should eat, I would say ma tlacuacan. Ma, command, tlacua, eat things, and can, because it's more than one. So essentially the big picture, and this is why I have this slide, is that you need to be using either ma or she, depending on who you are giving the command to. Okay, so if I give myself a command, okay, if I give you a command, I'm gonna be using she tlacua, you should eat, or eat, tlacua. And if I'm talking to y'all, I'm gonna be saying xitlacuacan, y'all should eat, or eat as the direct command. But in any other case, when you're giving a command to any other person that is not you directly or y'all directly, then you're gonna be using ma. So basically, these are the two situations where you use she, and all the other situations you're gonna be using ma. Okay, so be aware. So manitlacua, I should eat. Matlacua, he should eat. Matitlacuacan, we should eat. And matlacuacan, they should eat. Okay, so in these cases, you're giving other people that are not you or y'all a command. Vale. And notice that on the right, what we're doing is we're adding the can. That can is the plural marker for a command, meaning when you're giving more than one person a command, like when I say we should do this, I'm giving us a command, we are more than one person, then I'm gonna say ma titlacuacan. I'm gonna add the can to pluralize it. When I say y'all should do something, xitlacuacan, I'm still adding the can. And when I'm saying they should do this, or yeah, they should do this, then I would say ma tlacuacan, they should do this. Wally. So now I'm gonna do kenihki moilia. I recognize I don't have students and I recognize nobody's gonna respond. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask the question and then I'm gonna wait a little bit, not too long, so that you could think about it. And then I'm gonna answer the question for you. Okay, so let's go. Matiyakan, let's go. Okay, I should look at it. Okay, so think about this. I should look at it. When you're saying I should look at it, you're giving yourself a command, like I should do something, right? When you give yourself a command, you're gonna be using ma, not she, but ma, because I'm the one that's being commanded to do something. I should eat. I should look at it, sorry. The verb to look in Nahuatl is ita. Ita I used in the last lesson. And so ita can mean look or to see something, to look or see something, okay? And the thing that I'm gonna look at is an it. So I'm gonna be using k, okay? So if I wanna say I should look at it, I would start with the command, ma, ma. Okay, that's the command. Ma, I should do this. Or yeah, because I'm commanding myself. Ma. Ni, because I'm the one that's looking at something. I'm the one that's being commanded. So it'd be ma, ni. And the thing that I'm looking at, the one receiving the action is the it. Where in this case, we're going to put k. If you remember from a couple lessons ago, we have to change the k to a ki because an I follows this word. So it's going to be ma nikita. Ma nikita. I should look at it. Ma nikita. Okay, I'm commanding myself to look at it. I should look at it. Ma nikita. Wali. Okay. But if I want to give you a direct command, which one do I use? Do I use ma or do I use she? Katlilla. Which one? Katlilla niktekiwis. Katlilla niktekiwis. Which one will I use? Katlilla niktekiwia. Which one do I use? Okay. Well, who is the one that's being commanded? If I tell you, you should look at it, I'm basically saying I'm giving you a command, right? So I'm not going to use ma, I'm going to use she. Okay, so we got the she part. Looking, we know is ita. Okay, and what are we looking at? We're looking at it. So instead of saying, we're not going to say ma tiquita, we're going to say chiquita. We're going to give you that direct command. We're just going to say chiquita. You should look at it, but it also means look at it. It means both in Nahuatl. Chiquita. Okay, command. Command, she. I'm commanding you, so I'm using she. And you're looking at it, so we're using k. And then ita is the verb, so chiquita, look at it, or you should look at it. Wali. He should look at it. Okay, so if I say he should look at it, who am I giving the command to? I'm giving the command to him. So am I going to use ma or am I going to use she? Okay, I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, the person that I'm commanding is him. So because I'm commanding him, I'm going to use ma. Okay, so I'm going to say ma. And then we want him to look, so it's going to be ita. And we want him to look at it, so it's going to be k. Okay, so we're going to say ma kiita. He should look at it. Ma kiita. The ma, the command, and we're using ma because it's not you and it's not y'all, so it's going to be ma. And then he is the one doing the action, right? So if you remember from all our lessons, when he or she is doing an action, we don't put anything in front. We don't put ni, ti, or in front. We just have a blank space. And then he's looking at it. The it is represented by the k. And because we can't just write ita, we're gonna, and it's basically followed by an I, we're gonna change it to kiita. So basically, he should look at it. Is the phrase would be ma kiita, ma kiita, ma kiita. He should look at it. Vale. All right. If we say we should look at it, okay. So here, who is being commanded? We are being commanded, right? So we are not you and we are not y'all. So are we going to use she or are we going to use ma? Okay, think about it, think about it. We are going to be using ma, okay? Because we are the ones being commanded, okay? We have to look at it. So we're going to say ma ti kitakan, okay? Ma ti kitakan. Matikitakan, let's look at it, or we should look at it. Okay, matikitakan. It means the direct command, let's look at it, but it also means we should look at it. Matikitakan. So ma, command, ti for we, k for it, and ita for looking. And notice we added the kan, matikitakan, because we are the ones that are being commanded. We are more than one, so it's matikitakan. Right. Okay, y'all should look at it. So here, are we going to use ma or are we going to use she? Okay, think about it. Who is being commanded? Who is being commanded? This is my motion of you thinking about something right now. Probably watching this video thinking I'm crazy, which isn't too far from the truth. We're all crazy in our own little way, right? Okay, anyways. So y'all are the ones being commanded, right? So therefore, I'm going to be using she. So I'm just going to say, Xicchitacan, look at it, or y'all should look at it, Xicchitacan. She is the command for y'all. You're looking at it, and ita is the verb to look, and we're using can here because can, y'all are more than one person, y'all are plural, so Xicchitacan, look at it. Wali. All right, they should look at it. Last one, okay? They should look at it. So is it going to be ma or is it going to be she? Okay, think about it, process, look at it. Okay, the answer is ma, ma, okay? Because they are being commanded to do something. So it's going to be ma. So it would be ma kitakan. They should look at it. Command ma for they. They don't have, there is no prefix for they. And kiita, ki, we're looking at it. And then ita is the verb. And at the, again, we have the kan at the end because this is plural. They are plural. So ma kiitakan, they should look at it. Ma kiitaka. Or another translation could be like, let them look at it. Ma kiitakan. Wali. Okay, so I want you to pay attention. Or I want to remind you of a rule that I probably told you, I told you last lesson, which is these verbs that end in oa and ia, you need to drop the a, right? You remember, if you say, you're not going to say shimotlaloa, you're going to say shimotlalo. But any other verb that doesn't end in doesn't end in ia or oa, these verbs, you're going to drop the A, but all the other verbs, you're going to keep them the same. So shimotlaloa becomes shimotlalo. Mosewia becomes shimosewi. Okay, whereas all the other verbs, nehnemi, moketza, witoni, they stay the same when you make them a command. And this also applies with ma. Okay, so ma is technically a command. And so you're going to drop the same A after a verb that ends in ia or oa. So here on the example, I have motlaloa, to run, right? But if I want to say I should run, I would say mani motlalo, mani motlalo. Okay, if I say I should walk, I would say mani nehnemi. If I would say I should stand, mani moketza, I should stand. And mati mosewikan, let's sit, let's sit. And mati witonikan, let's jump, or we should jump. Okay, these verbs that end in oa and ia, we are dropping the a before we add the command. So right here we have mani motlalo, not mani motlaloa, mani motlalo, and mati mosewikan. Notice here we dropped the a before we added the can. Okay, so this rule of dropping the a for these class 3 verbs, it always applies pretty much every time that you're not using the present tense, you drop the a. Pretty much every tense that I've thought about. Wally? Okay, so I've already taught you that matitlacuacan, matitlapoacan, matiyacan, matiwalacan, and matimomashtican means like, let's do this, right? Ma is a command to ourselves. It also means we should do this. Matitlacuacan, matitlapoacan, etc., right? It means we should do it. But you'll be surprised that this ma also has another meaning. And this other meaning is may. Okay? So may. So you could say matitlacuacan, it can mean let's eat. Or it could also mean we should eat. Or it could also mean may we eat. Okay, may we eat. So if you think about it in English, it is also kind of a command when you say may we eat. It's kind of like a statement like, oh, may we do this, but it's also like a command like, let's do this, or we should do this, right? So it's the same in Nahuatl. Matitlacuacan can also mean may we eat. Matitlapoacan, may we read. Matiyacan, may we go. And tiwalacan, may we come. Timomachtican, may we learn. Okay? Why am I bringing this bringing this up? Because there's, even though it sounds like a command, there are certain indirect commands that you can make. And now what, you make these indirect commands with ma. And in your mind, you could probably think about it if you speak English. Well, clearly you do because you're watching the video. You can think of ma as may. And just remember that, like, just like in English, may is a command, but it's also like a wish. Like, I wish that this were the case, or may this be the case, right? So here in this example that I'm giving you, may Nahuatl live forever. This is kind of like, you could say this like as an expression, like, oh, may this be the truth, right? And this is where you would use ma in Nahuatl. And it's also kind of a wish, like, I wish this would be true, or I wish this will be the case in the future. So this is when you use the ma as well. So may Nahuatl live forever in Nahuatl would be ma nemi Nahuatl no chipa. Ma nemi Nahuatl no chipa. Okay, the ma is the command. May this be the case. It, so in this case, when you're saying may Nahuatl live forever, you're saying Nahuatl, it lives, right? So that's why this it with, there is no prefix here. So when you're saying the thing that's doing the action, the living, is the Nahuatl, and Nahuatl is in it. So here we're not going to put a prefix for anything. Ma nemi, may it. And then the verb to live is nemi. It also means to like go along. It has different meanings, but one of the meanings is nemi, is to live. And then Nahuatl, and nochipa, forever. Ma nemi Nahuatl nochipa, may Nahuatl live forever. You know what? It's a really good title. I should have titled my freaking lesson on that, but that's besides the point. Okay. You could also say things like may it rain forever. Ma tlahuetzi nochipa. Ma tlahuetzi nochipa. May it rain forever. Okay. So right now, ma is the command. Tlahuetzi, awetzi means to rain. Now, don't necessarily worry about my translation of this tla here, where I wrote it as it. It's kind of a, it's only really something to do with weather, and eventually we're going to do a class on weather. But basically, tlahuetzi means it's happening all over the place. And so in English, when you say it rains, the it that you're talking about is very vague. We don't know the thing that is raining, right? We just call it an it. And so Nahuatl uses tla in this situation to talk about the weather, like this is happening all over the place. And so it doesn't really, tla doesn't really mean it, but this is how it kind of translates in this way. And that's why I put it as it. But just to be clear, tla does not mean it. It's just the way that Nahuatl constructs weather phrases. It uses tla in front of weather phrases. So ma tlahuetzi means may it rain. Ma tlahuetzi, it should rain, or may it rain. Like, let's say you were wishing for it to rain, like, you know, California had like that drought at one point. I could have said ma tlahuetzi, may it rain. Like, I want this to be the case. It should rain. Ma tlahuetzi. This is very similar to like Spanish. When you say like que viva, or que viva Mexico, that would be one of those cases where people would say que. This is where you could use ma. So ma nemi mexcotlali, ma nemi mexcotlali, que viva Mexico. That's how you would say it in Nahuatl. Mexcotlali means like the Mexico, the land. Mexcotlali. Okay, Kuali. So ma tlahuetzi nochipa, may it rain forever. That's when you could use ma as well. Okay, but it gets even more interesting. And now I want to talk to you about how you can make requests. Like, I want this to be the case. So like when you say, I want you to do this. I want him to do that. Like, you're requesting or you're wishing for something. So now what, you can do this, and you can do this with the verb nequi. So nequi means to want something or to want someone. Yes, y'all, like in that touchy-feely way, I want you, yo te quiero. Well, in Nahuatl, yo te quiero is ni nequi. And maybe in the future, I'm going to do a class on how to get the feels in Nahuatl. If you want the feels. If you don't want the feels and you're a robot sometimes, I know somebody who has who may or may not have the feels sometimes, or who may or may never have the feels. Well, we should do a class on that straight up. Okay, so anyways, the verb that you're gonna use is nequi. I want something, okay? So if you wanna say I want it, you would say nequi, nequi, I, it, want, nequi. ¿Cuál? Well, you can combine this verb nequi with these phrases that I've been teaching you, the ma and the she, as commands. And with this nequi, you're kind of giving like an indirect command, like I wish this to be the case. I want this to be the case. I request this to be the case. So you're going to combine nequi with these phrases that I already taught you, the ma nitlacua, xitlacua, matlacua, etc., to make more complex phrases. So, okay, so let me give you some examples. Okay, so now if I want to say I want you to eat, okay, when I say I want you to eat, I'm kind of giving you a command, but I'm not giving you a direct command. If I wanted to directly tell you eat, I would tell you xitlacua, right? I would say xitlacua, eat. But if I kind of wish and I tell you, hey, I want you to eat, I'm kind of giving you an indirect command. So in Nahuatl, you use the command form of those verbs to make these phrases. So here's an example. We know how to say I want. I would say nequi, and then I'm going to say you to eat, and that part is going to be a command. So in Nahuatl, you would say nequi xitlacua. I want you to eat. And so notice here, we're still using it like it's a command, but if you think about it, it's more of an indirect command. I'm not directly telling you to eat, but I'm saying like, I want you to eat. So I'm kind of commanding you. And in Nahuatl, basically you use the command form. So you're saying, I want, nequi, I want it. The thing that I want, the it that I want is the xitlacua. I want you to eat. So nequi xitlacua, I want you to eat. Wale. Okay, if I want to say I want her to eat, okay, this is an indirect command again. I want her to do something. I indirectly want her to do something. So I'm still going to use the command form. And if you remember to say something like a command for her to eat something, if I indirectly want her to eat something, I would say something like, let her eat, or may she eat. Okay, so now what you're gonna say the equivalent to that is matlacua. Okay, so I would say nequi matlacua, I want her to eat. So it's still a command, but it's an indirect command. So, but you're going to use the command form. So now you're saying nequi matlacua, I want her to eat. Nequi matlacua. Vale. I want us to eat. And, okay, so same thing. I'm saying nequi. And remember, when we say let's eat, we would say matitlacuacan. But here, we're going to use the indirect command. I want us to eat. So now it's going to be nequi matitlacuacan. I want us to eat. So you're still commanding ourselves, but now you're saying it like indirectly. Nequi matitlacuacan. I want us to eat. Vale. I want y'all to eat. Quiero que coman. If you speak Spanish, you could substitute that ma for a que. Now be careful because this que is kind of ambiguous, and depending on what kind of que you mean in Nahuatl, so it's slightly different meaning. But in the sense of like, I want this to be the case, quiero que esto sea la realidad, that ma is basically the que in Spanish. So here in English, you could just think about it as may. So I want y'all to eat. Quiero que coman, okay? And now what it would be? Nequi she tlacuacan, okay? Why is it she again? Because I'm giving y'all the command, okay? It's not a direct command, but y'all are the ones that are going to carry it out. So I'm going to say nequi she tlacuacan. Nequi she tlacuacan. I want y'all to eat, okay? Command she and tlacua eat. I want them to eat. Okay, so here I'm expressing a request for them to eat. So because they are being commanded, I'm going to be using ma. So I would say, may they eat, I would say ma tlacuacan, right? So if I want to say, I want them to eat, I would say nequi ma tlacuacan. I want them to eat. Nequi ma tlacuacan. Ma is the command and tlacua to eat things. Okay, So now we're gonna play Kinihki Moilia. And honestly, I know y'all aren't out there or you're watching this recording later. So basically, just kind of follow along. I'll give you a little bit of time. Okay. So how would you say, well, this one you know. May Nahuatl live forever. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of time. And this isn't really that hard because I pretty much gave you the answer earlier. So it's more about whether you remember or not. May Nahuatl live forever. 3, 2, no, 5. Makwili, Nawi, Eyi, Ome, Se. All right. So it's going to be Ma, Nemi, Nahuatl, Nochipa. May Nahuatl live forever. Okay. Command Ma, it, because Nahuatl is the one doing the action. Nemi, live, and Nahuatl, Nochipa. Ma, Nemi, Nahuatl, Nochipa. Really, that just means, you just need to look back at your notes. Nemi is just a new verb that I added to live. Okay, quali. And again, may it rain forever will be Ma tlawetzi nochipa. May it rain forever. Quali. Okay, but now if I want to say may I want Nahuatl to live forever, adding that extra layer, now you can see you can create the same sentence like we created the previous sentence, right? So in the previous sentence, it was Ma nemi Nahuatl nochipa. May Nahuatl live forever. But if you want to request this as like a request, like something that you would want it to be, an indirect command, we are going to add the I want part, the Nequi. I want it. Nequi, and then you're going to add the exact same phrase. So you can say Nequi ma nemi Nahuatl nochipa. I want Nahuatl to live forever. Nequi ma nemi Nahuatl nochipa. We're still commanding it, but now we're giving it like an indirect command. And there's no it here because it's a he, she, or it, and he, she, or it. In third person and Nahuatl, you don't need to put a prefix. And then nemi, to live. Ma, nigneki ma nemi Nahuatl nochipa. I want Nahuatl to live forever. Okay, now if you want to say, I want it to rain forever. So now, may it rain forever was Ma tlawetzi nochipa. But now I want to add just that layer of I want it. So I would say Nigneki ma tlawetzi nochipa. I want it to rain forever. And by the way, awetzi, it changes by variety, but in the variety that we're learning, awetzi is literally water falls. So at is water and wetzi means to fall. So literally it's saying like, may water fall everywhere. And by the way, other varieties use a different word. I know that Guerrero uses kiawi. So you could also say this as Nigneki ma kiawi no chipa. Nigneki ma kiawi no chipa. I want it to rain forever. So it does depend which region you come from. They may say it a little bit different, but just be aware. Okay, Kwali. I want him to teach me. Okay, so let's think about this one. I want him to teach me. Okay, when I say I want, I'm basically desiring something. And I'm going to request this to be the case. And what do I want? I want him to teach me. Okay, so really you could think about this as two separate parts. Let's ignore the I want part and let's just say it as like, may he teach me. How would we say may he teach me? Okay, so you would start with a command, which would be she or ma. We're commanding him to do something. So it's going to be ma. So ma is going to be may, right? Ma. And then he's going to teach me. So I'm the one that's receiving the action. He's the one doing the action. So the he, because he's doing the action, we're not going to put anything in front of the verb machtia, which is teach. And then we're going to say he's doing it to me. So it's nech. So we would say ma nech machti. May he teach me. And if we put it together, all together it would be Nigneki ma nechmachti. Okay, so the Nigneki I want, the ma command, may he do this. There's nothing in front here, right? Because he's doing the action. Ma, he but he's doing it, so we're not gonna put dinner, and he's doing it to me, so it's nech nech, right? And then notice that the verb is machtia, to teach, but because it's an IA verb, we're gonna drop the A. So it's gonna be Nequi manech machti. I want him to teach me. So maybe you wanted to tell your friend, hey, I want Diego to teach me now. Then you'd be like, Nequi manech machti Nahuatl Diego, or Diego manech machti Nahuatl. Okay, you could say it like that. I want Diego to teach me Nahuatl. Nequi Diego manech machti Nahuatl. And by the way, I feel like Nahuatl sounds so beautiful, and like Nequi is one of like those words that sounds so good to me, like Nequi. I want it. Anyways. Diego manage machti Nahuatl. I want Diego to teach Nahuatl. Or maybe you don't. Ash Neki Diego manage machti Nahuatl. I don't want Diego to teach me Nahuatl. Why you wouldn't want that? I don't know. Okay, I'm being weird again. Anyways, next. I want her to teach him. I want her to teach him. Okay, so again, I'm the one that wants something. I want this to be the case. And I want her to do something. So I indirectly want her to do something. So it's going to be a command. And so it's going to be ma, because it's her. She's doing something. So may she teach him would be ma kimachti. Okay, may she teach him. But now that I say I want it, it would be nigneki ma kimachti. I want her to teach him. And by the way, I understand that this is a little bit like out there and kind of complicated and a little bit advanced, but you can do it, and you have the luxury of rewinding and fast forwarding and watching this video multiple times. So obviously, if you're not understanding it, it's fine. I try to give you as many examples as I can so that you could get it. And then hopefully, eventually you will. And I haven't done the homework yet, but I eventually will. And then you get more extra practice there. Okay, so I want her to teach him. Nigneki ma kimachti Nahuatl. So nigneki, I want. Ma, this is a command to her. I want her to do something. So I'm indirectly commanding her. Ma, and then ki. Okay, so here she is doing an action, right? When she's doing an action, we're not going to put a prefix here, right? She is doing the action, so nothing here, but she's doing the action to him. So this is why there's a key here. The key is referring to the him. It is not referring to her. So a lot of people get confused. They think that this key is referring to her, but it's not. It's referring to him because he's the one receiving the action. So, but the thing that's representing her is the zero, the nothing, the not putting something here is saying she is doing something. Maki machti. May she teach him. Maki machti. Okay. So quali. Okay. I want them to teach us. I want them to teach us. I'll let you think about this one. I'll give you 10 seconds. I'm going to count down from 10 in Nahuatl. Matlactli, Chicnawi, Chicueyi, Chicome, Chicuase, Maquili, Nawi, Eyi, Ome, Se. All right, so here, who is being commanded? Okay, think about that first. So I want them to teach us. So who do I want to do the action? I want them, or I want they to do the action, right? I want them to do the action. So I'm not going to use she, I'm going to use ma. So ma, something, I want, may they teach us. We can break it down without the nikneki first and just think about it as may they teach us. So it'd be ma, may, they teach us. So when they are doing an action, we're not going to put any prefix, and we are the ones receiving the action. So it's going to be tech, and machtia is the verb. Okay, because they are doing an action and they are more than one person, it's going to be kan. So this whole phrase is going to be nikneki ma techmachtikan. I want them to teach us. Nikneki ma temachtikan. Nikneki, I want. Ma, this is the command that I want. Tech, to us. Remember, there's no prefix for they doing something. And machtia is the verb, but because it's ia, we have to drop the a. And then we're going to add the kan because we're saying they should do something. Because they are the ones doing something, this kan is the marker. Okay, so this can marks the fact that it's about them. If we didn't have this, we wouldn't know it was about them. If I just say Nequi Matech Machti without the can, it does still mean something in Nahuatl. It means I wish that he would teach me, or that she wouldn't, sorry, that he would teach us, or that she would teach us, basically. He or she. But this can makes clear that it's about they. So ma nignekin matech machtikan, the can is talking about they. And the fact that there's no prefix is also talking about they. And that's how we distinguish them. You want me to teach you? Okay, so here it's you want. So now it's not going to be nikneki, right? What is it going to be? So when you want something, it's going to be tikneki. You want it. Tikneki, nikneki, tikneki, kineki, tikneki, inkineki, kineki. They want, kineki. Okay, so you want, tikneki, and what do you want? You want me to do something. So you indirectly want me to do something. So you're gonna use a command commanding me, I, to do something. So it's gonna be ma, because I'm not you and I'm not y'all. So it's gonna be ma. Okay, so it's going to be tigneki, you want, ma, the command, ni, I'm the one doing the action, and I'm doing the action to you. And what am I doing? I'm teaching. So tigneki ma ni mitzmachti, you want me to teach you. Tigneki ma ni mitzmachti, you want me to teach you. Okay. Wali? You want us to teach you. Okay, here, same thing. It's going to be tigneki, you want. Us, we're the ones doing the action, but we're doing a command, right? So it's going to be ma. So tikneki ma ti mitzmachtikan. Ma tikneki ma ti mitzmachtikan. Okay, you want tikneki ma, the command, ti for us, we're the ones doing the action, meets to you, machtia, teach, but it turns into machti, and kan, we're more than one. So tikneki mati mitzmachtikan, you want us to teach you. Tikneki ti mati mitzmachtikan. Quali. All right. I know that was a little bit rough, especially towards the end, but I hope that that was clear. I know that since I don't have students live, I don't have feedback. So I don't know whether or not I did a good job. And usually I have a lot of pictures, but this time I couldn't really have a lot of pictures because the way that this lesson is very like more grammar intensive. But I hope that I gave you enough examples for you to figure it out. And if not, like I said, rewind the video and watch it again until you kind of get the structure. I hope that the structure is clear. Okay, Quali, I'm gonna make the homework. I haven't made it yet. I've been lazy. You know, the holiday season's got me lazy and it's got me busy, and so I'm just like not in the mood to make some homework. But I will make it. I promise. Probably tomorrow. Okay. So in summary, she commanding you or y'all, ma to command me or to command us or to command him or her to do something or to command them, they to do something, them to do something. Machtia to teach, and kan is when you have more than one person, you're giving a command to more than one person. Um, remember too that with ma, it can mean a lot of well, actually ma and she can both mean you should do this, etc. And then the ma is like, may this be the case. May this be the case, and also the she, but it just depends how you combine it. You can combine it with the neki, and the neki is like, I want this to be the case, and so nikneki shitlakwa, I want you to eat. Nikneki ma tlakwa, I want him to eat. Nikneki ma titlakuakan, I want us to eat, etc., etc. I mean, I give you a lot of examples. Next week, what I'm going to do is we're going to do a homework session. What does that mean? I'm going to go through like episode 1 through like 13, or yeah, 13 was the last one. And I'm going to look for like good examples of previous homework questions that I gave you, and look at questions that people have asked me about the questions, about the homework basically, and pick out some good ones to teach you something like clear or more clear, because I think that by doing the homework, you'll learn a lot. And so I'm going to explicitly give you some of the rules or some of the exceptions, because there's a lot of exceptions in the homework that I didn't tell you about that are in the homework. Okay. And also, I'm gonna look through the questions in the YouTube, and I'm gonna uh, let other people watch the video and let them see and know what those questions were so that they can learn what those good questions are. And then that's pretty much it. Tlasokamati no momastikawan, tlasokamati nochi tlen nechpaleuihke, nochi tlen nech tlaxtlahuihke, wan nochime tlen kiamati momachtis nahuatl. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody who has helped me. Thank you, everybody who has paid me. And thank you for everybody who wants to learn Nahuatl. Um, Nigneki nochi no momachtikawan, ma momachtikan Nahuatl. I want all of my students to learn Nahuatl. And see what I did there? I created that long sentence that you should somewhat pretty much be able to break down, because now you know how to say, I want this to be the case. Nigneki ma nochi no momachtikawan. I want that all my students, nochi no momachtikawan, all my students, momachtikan, that they may learn Nahuatl. Nitneki nochi no momachtikawan, ma momachtikan Nahuatl. Wali, tlasokamati miak, when there's no questions now, but there will be questions next week. Timoitase. And I hope you have a good weekend or good holidays, etc., etc. Timoitase, no momachticawan.